So you're good to see you back again. It's been a while, and we've been chatting about floorball and more importantly, just generally about life. So I think this one's for the fans. So let's start off with letting people know a little bit more about you, a little bit more about your sporting activity, your recovery. So for all those, everyone knows you, but for all those that don't know you, let's start off with telling us a bit about yourself, your name, your position in the national team and the club that you play for.
My name is Yeo Xuan and I play mostly centre and defender in the national team as well as Titans.
Okay, so let's now talk about your team, the national team. You all had great success defeating Japan in the AOFC 2025. I was a part of it, of course.
Back to Yeo. And Yeo Xuan there with the strike!
And did notice that you played a very stellar role, not only with providing, with also scoring. Now, you all have qualified for the World Games and the Floorball World Cup this year. What have you and the team been up to since then in terms of training? Have you all gone back to doing stuff that you all would do besides floorball, or have you all still kept the momentum going?
I think after the WFCQ we had a break. I think it was about 3 weeks break, so everyone managed to catch up on their rest and time with their loved ones. Yeah, so after that when we came back, our coach and the coaching committee did tell us what were the plans moving ahead. So there's the World Games and then there's also SEA Games and World Champs coming. Yeah. So preparations wise, I think our coach has been reminding us that the opponents that we're going to face in World Games will be very different from the qualifiers that just happened. So I think the preparation in terms of the tactical side will be very different. Yeah, we need to adjust ourselves to play against countries like the Czech or the Finns. Yeah.
So now you essentially started play as a defender. You're known as a defender, but notice that your ball distribution, your skills, your playmaking ability, these all show you as being a very versatile floorballer. Now, how did these skills come about? Was it something that you had to work on? Is this something that comes to you naturally, or has there been a lot of prep and elbow grease or foot grease going into this?
I think yes, a lot of hard work was needed at the start, but I think it's because of the culture of the team. When I first entered the national team, the standards set by the seniors were very important, and I felt that every decision that I made had to be sharp and has to have a certain intention. I'm also very blessed to have people surrounding me who taught me the right things and what are some things that I should focus on in my game, rather than things like maybe scoring a nice goal, but maybe I should focus on the little things like making a good pass, setting my teammate up for success. Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit and talk about your roots in the sport. I know that you started playing a bit later than most other youngsters would start football. So when did you pick up the sport, and when was the moment when you decided this is the sport that I want to pursue professionally? So
I started floorball in secondary 2 when I made a change in my CCA from a uniform group. So actually that was a fun fact, like I actually followed my brother's footsteps. So I decided to take on a uniform group CCA, and of course when I entered there were some good things, but more of I felt like I should try something else. And then I was introduced to this sport by one of my friends during secondary 1. Yeah, so in secondary 2 I started floorball, and back then I was also very blessed because the coach there, they were very experienced in guiding and nurturing younger talents. Yeah. So throughout my 3 years, I did learn quite a lot of things, even though at that stage I did not like so-called bloom yet. I was just focused more on learning how to hold a stick, learning how to make a simple pass, and learning how to read the game. Yeah. And then how the national team happened was when I was 17 years old, I think. I was in a floorball club called Bells. So at that point of time, we were training at a training venue called Val Hall. So it was at the current red quarter area, which is at the Stadium Kallang area. Yeah, so we were training there, and back then I was with my teammate Amanda. which has just retired from the national team. Yeah, so we were training, and then the boss of the shop, he's called Stefan. So he actually approached us at the end of the training and asked if we were keen to work towards trying for the national team. Yeah, so he offered to coach us individually. So we would have sessions, just the two of us with him, and then we will learn things like controlling your stick with one hand, moving in different directions, not looking at the ball. Yeah, so we focus a lot on basics, and then from there we decided to go for the national trials together.
When you talk of coaching from Stefan, was this gratis or was it paid coaching?
No, he did not ask us to pay anything. Yeah, it was
So we've got one diehard floorball supporter.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, he and his brother were the ones that bring floorball to Singapore. So I believe they have had a very strong passion for floorball. So maybe he just offered a hand and just try and help us. Yeah.
We've definitely got to get him on the lens as well. So now tell us about being selected for the national team. What was it like when you actually when you got selected for the team? What was your feeling? What did you feel like knowing that you're going to represent the country? Comes with, responsibilities. There's also that pride of, wearing the country's colors. What was it like for you? Was it difficult to be selected to begin with? And once you were selected, what was that emotion at that time?
I think at that point of time when I was 17, I felt like there was no pressure. If I didn't get into the team right now, it's okay. But I think my personality is always, if I choose to go for something, I will want to make it and I will give my best. Yeah, so at that point of time, the coach was Jamie. So she set very high standards in terms of your conduct. So if you decide to commit, you have to make sure you come for every single training without any reasons. We could not go for any holidays or take any leave from trainings because to her, national comes first. Yeah. So from there, we just worked very hard. Yeah. And then for my first competition, I think I was 17. Then I played what was it called? Some championship. I forgot what is it called. Yeah. Do you remember the name? Sea Championship. Yeah, Sea Championship at Hougang. So that was my first competition, and it was home ground also. And then back then, I was still young, so I was not so afraid to make mistakes. But I played with players that had very high expectations. So I remember when I was 18 and I played my first SEA Games, I made a board pass, and then the board pass got intercepted. And then I went back to the locker room and I cried. Even though it didn't result in any counter attack and we conceded a goal, but that was the kind of pressure that I had on myself. Yeah.
Setting higher standards for yourself. Talking of which, I'm going to get down to talking about your injury, and that's the time that I got to spend a bit of time with you while doing the commentary. And I did notice you were, of course, really going through a tough time with recuperating. How difficult was it for you to get back to the floorball court, and during that period of time, what were the physical and mental challenges that you faced, knowing that there's a possibility that you might come back to the court or you might be out for longer? What was that like?
Well, I think, for the first surgery that I had, I was feeling a lot more, I would say, demoralized. Like, once the ACL injury happened, it's a long way to even step back on the court. And for me, the first 3 months of post-surgery was the hardest because you can't even stand up, you can't even walk, you can't even do the simple things right. Yeah. So for me, I was very blessed again, like to have my family support and my loved ones, and also teammates who were consistently encouraging me to say like, you can definitely come back. But of course, people can only encourage, and a lot of work has to come from yourself. Yeah. So initially, I did have a lot of motivation because it's my first surgery. So I was telling myself like it's possible to come back. But after a while, after 1 or 2 months, you cannot rely on motivation anymore. It has to be a lot of discipline. Even like when you're very tired, you still have to just appear at the gym and then put in the work. Yeah. So for me, my rehab trainer was also someone who was very important because he not only looked at my physical aspects, he also targeted a lot of my mental aspects, like having the confidence to do certain movements, having the confidence to try and do things that are very uncomfortable, yeah, but much needed so that I can come back to the sport. Yeah, so I guess what got me through was support from my loved ones and also the discipline that I had. Yeah.
What is the tougher part, the mental, overcoming mental obstacles at that time, or the physical ones during your rehabilitation?
Actually, I think it would be mental. Yeah, physical as long as you put in the work, like maybe 3 times a week, you can get your muscle back. But mental part, whether you have the confidence to step on court and make the same sharp movements again, it requires a lot of mental preparation, I felt. Yeah.
So talking about mental preparation, and I'm going to deviate into muscle memory. Now that's something that, whether you're an athlete or you're a novice sports enthusiast, injury and muscle memory always go hand in hand. Does that ever happen to you? How do you tackle it on the court? Does it ever come back? Does that muscle memory affect you during the course of play, or is that something that you've kind of dusted and put into the past now?
I think I would say initially when I did my rehab through the 9 months, I did appear for trainings. So I still work on my simple things like, I don't know, ball handling skills and all. It's not so much of looking at the court. But then what I realized from my second surgery is that my coach actually told me, like, you can just observe and not do anything, and then try and visualize what you would do if you were on the court. What would you do if you were one of the players, and were there some decisions that you would make differently? And I thought that it helped me a lot when I came back for the qualifiers. Yeah, I felt like, in a way, I had more understanding of the game. Yeah, so the muscle memory part just came naturally. Yeah.
So now floorball is a sport that, according to me and according to many of us that like the sport, it doesn't really get the credit that it deserves. And now that could mean in terms of sponsors, in terms of career pathway. I mean, most have to juggle, having a job and playing the sport out of a passion. But what drives you? What drives you and the team? To be so passionate about the sport and to put in 100% every time you get onto the court.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly a bit sad that after so many years, it still hasn't really. I would say the sport has grown. Like, more people are playing the sport. But I think the recognition part and the support part is still not as what we hope it will be. But I still believe that maybe years down the road, like, it will be better. Yeah, for myself, I think it's really just like I enjoy the sport. I enjoy it being a team sport. And I enjoy the fact that we are actually handling something that is it's not easy. Like, the longer the implement, the harder it is. Like, in terms of basketball, maybe it's slightly closer, and then the difficulty comes when you have to control something. Yeah, so I enjoy the challenge, and I think that what keeps me going is really trying to level up, like, my game awareness. Yeah, I feel that maybe the first 6 to 7 years of me in the national team, I was just focusing more on the technical part, but right now I'm trying to focus more on the tactical part.
So tell us a bit about you outside the floorball court. What do you like doing? What is your recreational activity? How do you actually, when you're not playing the sport or practicing it, what do you like to do best?
Honestly, don't have much free time, but I think when I have the time, I like to take photos and maybe just go for simple walks at the beach. Yeah, but mainly I like photography. So sometimes I would just bring my camera along, and then when I'm free, I'll just take some shots. Yeah, and I also like to draw, but not so much time to do that. Yeah.
Talking about recreational activity, let's talk about the lighter moments in floorball. What has been your most a funny incident or funniest moment in floorball? It could be a blooper, it could be pranking teammates, or you being pranked, or you missing out on something. What has been something that you could look back and laugh at today?
I think one thing I can think of is every tournament we'll have time in the locker room, and then sometimes we'll reach earlier. And then I remember times where we played like human charades. So it's like somebody has to mimic a player in the team. Example, yeah, maybe like City acting like Amanda, something like that. And then we have to guess who that player is through the actions. I think that was quite funny. And then some other more memorable moments, I think when our friend falls down and looks like a soccer player. Like we have Daphne in our team that every time she falls, she looks like Ronaldo because she always do that action. Yeah. And then the last thing I can think of, I think it was the most recent WFCQ where we made a statement like, if we make it to the finals, can the coaching comm and the officials wear a blazer to the finals? And initially they were saying, yeah, sure. And then we were thinking like, it's just a joke and it won't happen. But when we qualified for the finals, they really showed up with their blazers and we were very happy. Like they even went home or asked someone to deliver their suit. Yeah, so I think it was something that, it's just a remark, but they took it seriously and they took it as also a motivation for us to do better in a very light-hearted tone. Yeah.
Which player do you mimic in the team?
I didn't. I cannot. I'm very bad at mimicking. Yeah, but some of them are very good. Yeah.
What is your most memorable moment with the team? The one
team?
that is closest to your heart.
Wow. I have two.
Go with both of them.
First one will be the 2015 SEA Games when we drew with Thailand in the finals and I scored the equalizer, but the goal was a horrible goal. Like it was not intentionally placed at the net. I just shoot in a general direction and then it deflected off somebody and then it went into a goal. So then we managed to go to penalties and then I'm not sure if you know Fariza. She made like incredible saves during the penalties and then I remember that moment when she threw her helmet up and the whole crowd at the ITE Central went crazy and then we all just dashed to her. That was the first time I won the SEA Games gold and with that team that was really made up of a lot of people that I look up to like Jiu Kwek, Debbie, Hui Hui, yeah, like all these people that I feel shape floorball in Singapore and how the culture should be. And then the second one, I think, of course, that SEA Games where my parents appeared, I was happy. The second one was, I think the recent one, WFCQ, it was very memorable to me because it's my second time coming back from an ACL injury and I was given a new position to play. So I felt that being able to achieve such results with the team, like, is something that is close to my heart. Yeah, and I have, Zhen Hong looking at me throughout every game and I felt like it was something that I did well and my family will be proud of me. Yeah.
If not for floorball, what other sport would you have actually chosen?
I think it would be basketball. Yeah, I enjoy playing basketball a lot, but in secondary school there was no female basketball team. Yeah, so I didn't manage to go for any basketball trials, so I just played street basketball. Yeah, but if given a chance, I would want to pursue basketball as a point guard. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you for any advice for any upcoming athletes or floorballers, but I'm going to ask you for advice for youngsters or athletes recovering from injury. What would you tell them? Especially those that might have that mental block that they might not be able to play the sport again.
I think the first one, like what I say, motivation can't keep you long and it won't help you in the long run. It will have to be your discipline. Yeah, because motivation is quite short term. Some days you are motivated, some days you are not. Yeah, discipline is something that keeps you going. Every day I know regardless of what kind of day I'm having, I'm just going to show up and I'm going to do my exercises and then I'm going to get better. In terms of mental aspects, I think you really have to trust and believe that whatever skills you have, you will not lose it as long as you keep believing in yourself. Yeah, and don't put aside the part where you need to envision yourself on court. So I think the part where you need to keep visualizing, keep thinking, keep analyzing the game is very important. So don't lose that part of the game. Yeah.
The one thing that I forgot to ask you was your full-time job. You work as a teacher. Tell us a little bit about that before we can call this a wrap.
I teach PE at primary school. Yeah, so as in, do I share about my job or?
Yeah, tell us how satisfying is it? How do you like the job? What do you enjoy about it? Just your words.
For me, I personally enjoy teaching a lot. Of course, it comes with a lot of other responsibilities like dealing with administrative work and also communicating with parents. But ultimately, for me, the joy comes when my students are able to understand the fundamentals, like even a simple overhead throw, like why is it important to have the right techniques. So I guess I'm privileged enough to teach them at primary 1s and 2s, so then they have the good foundation to bring it up to the upper primary. And then in the future, I never know, maybe they will become a national athlete. Yeah, that's my dream.
So Yeo, I'm going to wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for taking the time out to chat with us, and wish you all the very best for the next 3 big events.
Yeah.
It's a very busy rest of this year for you and the team, and we wish you great success and hope the next time we talk, there's 3 tournament wins in the bag.
Thank you.